We lost Chris.
I don't know where he went. Must went to the restroom.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I would now entertain a motion to adjourn from executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to consent agenda, approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes from the April 4th, 2023 regular commission meeting.
And old business.
An ordinance to repeal Title 15 Land Usage of the Code of Ordinances and adopt Title 15 Development Code in association with the Code Piqua project.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes from April 4th meeting?
I'll move the approval of the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to ordinance number O-2-23. This is the third reading.
Good evening, Commissioners. I just wanted to say that in the back of the staff report, you still have that project timeline. After tonight, if this ordinance is approved, we will be accepting applications under the new code, should anybody want to operate under that code for the next 30 days. After that 30-day period, the code would go into effect and it would no longer be an option. And last time, you had requested that I include an amendment to consider prohibiting quarries. That is something that we can do if there's a motion to do so. I have an amendment written, drafted up. It's basically taking mining as defined by the Ohio Revised Code, and it's a basic prohibition within the city jurisdiction limits. Happy to answer any questions.
So at this point, do we want to make an amendment to this ordinance?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So move.
I'll make an amendment that she submit the amendment. Can you read it so that the citizens know exactly what it says?
So, in chapter 3.14, there's a section called prohibited uses in the code. And at the end of that, it's just adding a third prohibited use. There's marijuana cultivators and processors, then we've got manufactured home parks, certain types of those are prohibited, and then mining. So here's how it would read. Mining, both as described in section 1561, mine and quarry definitions, and in section 1514, called Other Surface Mining Definitions of the Ohio Revised Code, is a prohibited use within the corporation limits of Piqua. New mining and the expansion of existing mines is not permitted within the corporation limits of Piqua.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt this?
I think Vice Mayor Lee made the motion. I'll second it.
Yeah, I made the motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the
Amendment.
amendment. All of those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we now have amended ordinance. So at this point, then, we,
May I interject 1 second? I just want to make sure that the amended, I wasn't here last meeting, the amendment on the penalties was included.
Yes,
Okay.
there was a wording change in the enforcement section of the code as well, so that is included in Exhibit A. It's basically reflecting the current way that we penalize infractions of the zoning code as misdemeanors.
Thank you. So at this point, we would ask for any commission questions or comments to be made about this ordinance.
If you're making an amendment, do you have to do 3 readings again?
No. When you pass it, you'd move to adopt amended ordinance 01-23, or whatever the number is on this one.
O-2. Good question.
Looks like it's 0223.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from citizens? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number O-2-23?
I make a motion, we adopt ordinance number
Amended.
amended ordinance, O-2-23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Grissom,
Aye.
Commissioner Hines,
Aye.
Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Mayor Pearson,
Aye.
Commissioner Vetter.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Ordinance number O-3-23, third reading.
An ordinance to adopt revisions of Chapter 90 animals to permit backyard chickens.
Evening again. This is the third reading. Within the agenda packet, there's the full text of the change. Everybody is able to view that online. We went over this in detail the last time, and then on the second reading, I provided a list of the subdivisions that currently have deed restrictions for livestock animals. And that, as I said last time, will be available pretty soon in GIS so that people will be able to, or if this should pass, they would, even if it shouldn't pass, be able to look up their plat information, any deed restrictions that are there. It's very helpful anyway, regardless of this issue.
Well, I want to thank you for taking all the time to do that. I know it took some time and effort, and Frank took some time to put together the ordinance. And whether it passes or not, I mean, the fact that people get a say in their government is what's important. So I appreciate it. So thank you for your work, both of you.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners? Are there any questions or comments from our citizens?
Gary Koenig, 5 Peregrine Place. I received this chicken from a citizen of Piqua, Madeline, and it had a note on it attached that said, "This is the only kind of chicken that should be allowed in the backyards in the city of Piqua." And years ago, there were chickens allowed in Piqua, and there was problems. It was just a lot of neighborly unfriendliness. And for all the reasons we've talked about, the clucking, the horrible odor, the rat infestations, the diseases that come with chickens. So I would just request that at that time, the commission, in a very progressive move, adopted an ordinance that banned chickens in the city of Piqua. I would request that you continue the ban by defeating this ordinance, and that's my humble request. Thank you.
Thank you,
Any
Gary.
eggs from that chicken? No? No? Others, no? Okay.
Been gutted.
Are there other comments?
Good evening. My name is Alicia Richardson, and I live in the First Ward. The benefits of owning chickens: wholesome, fresh eggs, simple sustainability, family education. They replenish the soil and fertilize. Waste reduction, pest control. Chickens are just like any other pet and require maintenance. Chickens are quiet and well-behaved. I have chickens, and I supply my home with eggs. If I didn't have a chain link fence, you wouldn't even be able to tell I had them. I take care of them, clean up after them. You can't even smell them in the summer. You can ask my neighbors that. Just like you clean up after your dogs, you clean up after them. Surrounding cities have already allowed this. Pickwas should be right along with them. Covington requires an application approval, so if we're concerned with that upkeep, maybe we should adopt a similar program, which we are, hopefully. And as far as sanitation goes, I don't know about you, but I wash my hands after tending to any animal. Just like bacteria, fungus, or any virus can spread. That's why proper hygiene methods should be followed. According to the Ohio Department of Agriculture, there has only ever been one case, sorry, I'm a little nervous, of human avian flu ever, and that was in China. I would also like to add that zoning laws were created to protect homeowners in residential areas from devaluation during the Industrial Revolution. This was to prevent someone from building a factory in their backyard. It was protection from commercialism. The history of zoning laws and codes was not intended to limit our basic human rights, but to protect them. Our forefathers never imagined a world in which we would need permission to feed our families food we grow and raise. With an understanding of the history behind zoning laws, I believe we owe it to ourselves and our history to continue to protect our freedoms from commercialism, as well as to continue to endorse our personal freedoms by maximizing concentrated resources and feeding our families homegrown, affordable organic eggs. Let us not forget that organic eggs are now $9 a dozen. Who can afford that? Because I know I cannot. But what I can afford is to properly raise my own and provide for my family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just want to make a comment. I can appreciate that situation right there. We had two people with opposing views coming and talking with us, and that's why we're here to listen. I can tell you from this topic, I've gotten a lot of phone calls from people on both sides of the fence, and some feel very strongly about it one way, and some feel very strongly the other way. And for us to vote on this, it's taking our own feedback and doing how we feel is going to be best. So I appreciate everybody that did reach out and kind of gave their viewpoint on it.
And I appreciate everybody's comments. I got a lot of positives, a lot of negatives, and just let them know that, I'm listening to both sides. But for those people who want to have them, we did this for them because they reached out and did it. Now, is this the end of the road? They could probably go and through referendum, if this gets defeated, the citizens can vote on this themselves. So just know that it may not necessarily be the end of the road, so.
I will say that I have had more calls about this than I have anything that I have for the last 8 years being on commission.
I'll agree.
And all of the calls I have had, except for one, have been against this. I've only had one that was for it. So I just want to put that out there publicly because, again, of all the things that I have dealt with from this place, this is the one thing I have heard about again and again and again in our community.
Right. Well, and I think it's important to listen to our citizens. I, too, have received those calls and emails begging either to adopt this ordinance or please don't adopt the ordinance. So it's a tough decision, but it's not over, okay? All right, anyone else? All right, at this point, we need a motion to adopt ordinance number O-3-2022 23.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance O-3-23.
Is there a second? Anybody want to second the ordinance, the motion?
Well, if second, it goes to roll call, right?
Right.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Will you call the roll?
Commissioner Grissom,
Nay.
Commissioner Hines,
Nay.
Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Mayor Pearson,
No.
Commissioner Vetter.
No.
Okay. All right.
And
Thank
as I
you.
said, it's not necessarily the end of the road. And there is a referendum process that you can check with our law director and go about doing it that way. And that way you don't have to have stuffed chickens in your yard.
And I would offer that there are some other alternatives out there that might be pursued. Number one, I see several farms or properties just on the outskirts of Piqua selling fresh eggs. And one right on Washington Road, right outside of town. And so the other idea that I kind of like personally is the idea of a chicken cooperative. We used to have food cooperatives, and we could have them for chickens, meaning that you could form an organization that had a plot of ground someplace outside the city limits and could go ahead and cooperatively raise chickens, harvest the eggs, and do the things that need to be done. So the issue that we just voted on for me is what should happen inside the city limits of Piqua.
Okay.
And we've decided it.
Thank you. All right. Resolution number R-59-23.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a lease agreement with MMP Farms.
Good evening, Commissioners. This resolution is seeking approval for the city manager to lease a portion of Pittsburgher Park to MMP Farms. The community garden space at Pittsburgher Park has gone through several iterations of use over the last several years. This year, there was no interest in utilizing the space, and it was set to sit dormant while we decided what we would do with that piece of property. We were approached then by MMP Farms with an interest to utilize the space as an incubator space for a potential new business in the community. The operators are looking to utilize the space to grow flowers, to utilize the space to see what type of flowers would work in this climate, what the business opportunity would be for selling those flowers, and with the hopes of, if it is successful and they can hone their skills, to make this a full-fledged business. So because this opportunity came to us, we thought it was a good opportunity to utilize a space that was going to go unused for the season. And this lease is very similar to the other leases that we've had for property in our parks. With one exception, we did take comments from the commission who was seeking a little bit of more stake in the game in terms of water usage at this particular space. And after speaking with Kevin Craney, the utilities director, he felt that that would be very minimal for what they would need. But we did ask for a small increase to our typical $1 lease. This would be a $10 lease.
All right.
I noticed that on the lease agreement, it says the payment should be made the 1st of April, and we're obviously past that date. Do we need to amend that, or we just kind of have a grace period on that? I don't know how that works.
Right. We typically would amend that once we get into the actual final document.
All right. Any other comments?
So I
from-
guess my only comment, and again, we only know this because we don't know because we've not done this before. I mean, I think about water and I think about utilities and how much that costs. So this is just for 1 year, so we can adjust this next year if we find that we are,
Yes, and
Okay.
Also, I do know that M&P Farms representatives are here in the audience if you would like some comments from them and to understand a little bit more what they're seeking to do.
I like the fact that the space will go used and not unused. I would like to hear from them if they would like to step forward.
The other issue is that we don't need city employees pulling weeds from the area when we got some people that are going to do it.
well, and I also like the fact that this is going to be a garden again, because it
Yes.
was supposed to be the community garden, and that kind of took off, but it didn't take off, so I'm really excited to see that this is going to continue. So, yeah, good.
You've got a great challenge ahead of you.
Get
Oh
your
my
knee pads out
gosh.
for the weeds.
Can you say your name
We
and
are
address for the
Yes,
record?
I'm Michelle Perry, 745 South Downing Street.
I'm Patrick Clayman, 745 South Downing Street.
We are welcoming volunteers for weeding, if anyone is interested. We'll
I
have some
volunteer
workday
my wife.
signups. No, we just really appreciate the opportunity to partner with the city. We live on a very small plot of land with goals to own more in the future, but this is an opportunity for us to kind of do a test run. See how things grow. Pat has a degree in agriculture, which will come in super handy. I like to garden for fun, so it's a good partnership. But we just appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that trial run and to do some specialty cut flowers this year, because we're getting a little bit of a late start and haven't started things inside. We're going to do short season annuals to see how they go. We know zinnias and sunflowers go very well at markets, and so we are growing a variety of flowers that will build beautiful bouquets, and we will explore wholesale and retail options as we give it a go this
I
year.
was going to say, that was going to be my question. Where are you going to sell these? Are you going to sell them like down at the farmer's market, or more retail or wholesale?
Honestly, I kind of want to see what we get.
I get
To be quite honest, I know we have some great florists in town that we are going to approach. We're finalizing
That's
our grow
awesome.
list and see if they're interested. I would
that.
love to give them first option.
Sure.
And then we would certainly explore the farmer's market or selling, on social media and things of that nature. So cross your fingers for us. We
I
get
will.
lots,
Well,
so
if
many.
it goes well, we're tearing down some properties in our neighborhood, and we might have additional space for you
Well,
at some
there we
point.
go.
so.
We'll have a flower co-op.
I love it. I love it. We can buy our lettuce locally, and now we can get our flowers locally as well. That's great. Love it.
Love it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Good luck. Any other comments?
Yep, I'm happy to make a motion.
And I'll second it.
Motion to adopt resolution number R-59-23.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution R-59-23 has been approved. Resolution number R-60-23.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a lease agreement with the Piqua Lady Braves softball organization.
Commissioners, similar to the last item, this is also a lease agreement. The Lady Braves softball organization is just that, a softball organization for the youth in the community, and we haven't had a formal lease agreement with them in the past. However, we did have a memorandum of understanding for them to utilize the fields last year because it came to us kind of late in the season, and they had previously operated under the Baseball Association, and so they're just asking for their own separate lease agreement this year, so they would be strictly utilizing the Upper Moat Park softball field for their league.
And so the softball field at Pittsburgher, tell me how that differs. Is that?
Yeah, the Lady Braves are a more of a select league, whereas at Pittsburgher with the Baseball Association is a rec league.
Yeah. So the Lady Braves are a private organization, and it's come by invitation, not come you all.
Correct. They're still a 501c3. They're a nonprofit organization, but it is a select.
Yeah. I think we have a organization for baseball the same way.
Yes.
Braves, I think, maybe is the right name for that.
Yes.
Had a couple other questions, just, you've helped with that. We're going to provide water. How do we propose to provide water to Upper Moot Park?
Well, yeah, we provide water for maintenance of the field. So sometimes we would bring water to a field if we needed it for, when we drag the field, sometimes you need to add some water, and we do that with our water tank on our truck, but there's no water service there.
Yeah, familiar with that, for sure. I see in the lease agreement that we're buying their bases. Help me understand that one.
We've provided the bases at multiple different fields throughout. We do a little bit of, the city provides certain things and the leagues provide certain things. The bases are minimal. They're there now, but we do intend to provide and change out bases when they need to be changed.
And am I thinking we do this because they stay 24/7, so anybody in the neighborhood can come do a pickup game and the bases are there?
Yes.
Okay.
But you have to watch the lease agreement because it says that they have to give permission for that space to be used by someone else. And did I read that correctly?
Yes, I mean, typically it's so, but we've never had a problem in the past with any of the leases where if someone were to come to just practice or whatnot, the leagues are aware of that it still is a public park and it's not locked in any way. So it is open for use, typically as long as the league isn't there.
I don't recall any complaints ever.
No,
Well, I
we've
can tell you
never had an issue.
there have been complaints with soccer over the same kind of thing. And so, again, I think they've been settled at a lower level than a lease discussion, but there have been, and when the Lady Braves accept the contract, they accept responsibility for the facilities, if I read the lease agreement correctly.
Yeah, I've never had an issue, a call or concern, someone wanting to just, do a pickup game or play on a field. I think the leagues do a good job of working that out. Obviously, if it's game time or a practice time,
Yeah.
they can, ask the people, hey, it's our time here.
Oh, go ahead.
One of the, point 12 in the agreement is that they will organize and administer all leagues. And I guess my question would be, how many leagues are there? It sounds to me like there may only be one.
Yeah, it's only one.
Yeah, okay. I'm just, my interest is that all of our lease agreements for our youth sports activities be consistent and don't cut off other opportunities from other people. But it certainly names someone who's responsible for controlling the fields, especially if there's conflict.
Yes.
I think the agreement does that.
So I do know that we have had conversation about our liability insurance as people use things, and I know we were moving to a higher for a variety of reasons. Is the liability insurance listed on here the one that we are looking for all sports teams to have now?
This is, go ahead, Frank.
Answer that one. Currently, the same liability amounts are in every single one of the leases at this point.
Okay.
Eventually, and Amy and I talked about this, is that those amounts will probably go up at the next renewals. Probably do it would be my recommendation at that time at $3 to $5 million, but since everybody's at the $1 to $3 million level now, I feel it's only right to be consistent with all of them.
So are they all set to renew at the same time? So when we make that statement, I mean, or is it going to be, they are?
Yes,
Whether it's
so-
football, baseball, soccer?
Yes, so
Okay,
we've just, in the last couple of meetings, this is the last one. We brought them all to you within the last 2 months.
Right,
So
right.
they'll all be expiring the same time in 3 years.
3 years, so in 3 years. And just so these leagues know to prepare over the next 3 years that liability insurance is going to be much higher.
Yes.
So, okay, I just want to make sure, again, so they're not caught flat-footed, because these are great things for our community, and I just want to make sure that they're all aware of it.
One last question from me. Some of the leases ask for an audit at the end of the season, and I don't think I saw that in this one. Am I correct, or did I miss it?
I believe it should be the same lease agreement as all the others. We can double check that when we do the final signatures and make sure that's in there. It should be the same as all of the others with the requirements for
And I
paperwork and
would-
documentation and.
I would tell you, I'm in favor of that audit. And
Sure.
the audits tend to protect both parties, and it's not a one-sided division, but I would like to see that included in that agreement. If it's not, I hope we could amend it some way to include that.
Yes, we will double check that and make sure that that's included in there before it goes for final signatures.
No. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Do our citizens have any questions or comments? Okay. And I move to adopt resolution number R-60-23.
Second.
I'll second with the audit information in there as well.
All right. All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution carried. Our resolution number R-61-23.
A resolution authorizing the lease of city-owned real estate.
Good evening, Commission. This item relates to the space at 122 West High Street, which was previously occupied by Rosebud's Real Foods. And as you know, she has vacated the space and fortunately for her, found a home that's very suitable to her growing business needs. Unfortunately for us, it's outside the city of Piqua, but we wish her well. She's found a very suitable location for a very good price. You'll recall when she first leased the space, it was understood then that it was a temporary arrangement. It was an incubator space of sorts for her, an opportunity for her to establish a retail storefront as she was gaining her foothold in the marketplace. But it was really not suitable size-wise for her long-term ambitions. So that cycle has played out. The good news is what I have before you this evening is we have another local entrepreneur who is interested in leasing the space to be able to operate a shop that would sell rolled ice cream and edible cookie dough ice cream.
Getting hungry as you speak.
Which,
Keep going.
if you looked at the pictures, it looks absolutely amazing.
Amazing.
Looks great, man, I'm telling you.
And frankly, it's a very good fit for the location. So we're excited that there's the interest, and we're excited that it's a local entrepreneur, and we're really excited that we can perhaps facilitate the incubation of another local business. The terms of the lease would be 1 year, again, for the business to be able to test the market and make sure that things are going to work out well. The terms we came to were $1,200 a month. That's the rent and utilities. That equates to about $10 a square foot, a little more than $10 a square foot, which is on the higher end, actually, for some of the downtown spaces. But including utilities, it makes it a pretty reasonable and fair rent rate. So what we have before you is a request to authorize the lease. The tenant, the prospective tenant I know is here this evening, and I'm sure excited to share with you what they have planned, and they indicate that they're eager to occupy the facility and start operations very soon.
I'm eager for them to occupy it too.
Well,
If they want
and,
to come up and talk to us.
yeah, and I know Tom Lillycrap loves our city, and he's done so many wonderful
he has.
things to, with the candy shop and different things as well, to love on Piqua. And I have to say, when I first saw this, we were on vacation in California a year or so. My son got a hold of some of this rolled ice cream and loved it. So it is a real hot commodity, so I
It's
love
a
it.
pretty cool concept.
Yeah.
When I first approached Chris, I actually approached him about a food truck because I didn't think that space, I could occupy that space. And thanks to the city, hopefully we can occupy that space. So we've kind of nixed the food truck for the time being and are going to occupy that space. If you aren't familiar with the rolled ice cream, it's oriented from Thailand. You literally make homemade ice cream within 2 minutes of the person standing there. So you start with a liquid product, if you want strawberries, you want peaches, you want cookies, whatever, and you put it in a mixture. The mixture is a heavy whipping cream and sweetened condensed milk, so you can't go wrong.
Wow.
I've been doing trial runs at my house, and they're working better, so we're getting it down. But we are making a very large investment for that space, because that's not candy. So we have to buy a lot of new equipment for that space. The other thing that we are looking to put in that space is Italian ice, because I've had people that say they can't eat ice cream, they can't eat dairy, they can't eat, and the cookie dough obviously is the same. So we're gonna, I think, have 8 or 12 different flavors of Italian ice, which is
That'd be great.
scooped also. So the edible cookie dough is a not egg.
Yeah.
That just slipped my mind.
That's all right.
Well, it's heated flour and,
Yes.
but it's able to be at a normal temperature instead of frozen, and you can eat it. So, but I think the space is gonna be a great space, for that, so.
I'm lactose intolerant, and I'm still coming down and eating. Just because I like it. The concept is wonderful. The fact that that space gets utilized. I mean, the more we utilize our spaces and occupy our public spaces, the more people will come to town and say, hey, there's not emptiness here. There's a lot going on in Piqua. So we appreciate you being willing to make that investment within our city.
And I have had a lot of people confront me that we do have ice cream downtown, which is Susie's Big Dipper. Susie's is
Like them.
that is a hand-dipped ice cream, completely different. You're either gonna like this or you aren't, and you like hand-dipped, you like soft serve. I mean, it's a whole different array, and I would not do that to affect their business at all. I mean,
Nope.
it's a completely different
I have
concept.
much love for Susie's too, but gotta try this.
And I've also been dealing with the health department quite a bit, just to make sure that we're all on track, but at some point, we'll probably are gonna offer some kind of a cold meat type sandwich, a quick and go grab sandwich in that location, but we're hoping that we can probably occupy about 25 seats in that location, so, and I also got a lead on George's coney sauce and
Uh-oh.
shredded chicken and shredded barbecue, so we're hoping that that's gonna occupy the space also, but that will come as time, but we gotta get the cookie dough and that stuff rolling, so.
Wow, I don't know where you're gonna
Coming
find
back.
all the time to
I'm
do
excited.
what you're doing.
My wife says.
Ask your wife.
Thank you.
You very much. Are
Now
there
that we're
any-
all hungry.
I know.
Yeah.
Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none,
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carried. Resolution number R-62-23.
A resolution authorizing participation in the Ohio Department of Transportation Cooperative Purchasing Program.
This item relates to our annual pavement preservation plan, which will include a variety of applications, including the traditional mill and asphalt placement, but also application of Rejuvenator on more recently resurfaced streets. The Rejuvenator helps extend the life. Microsurfacing, Cape Seal, which is a sealer and an aggregate, and then a binder over top of it, and then crack sealing, which you may be more familiar with. The program this year targets the streets, all the streets in the community have been rated. So it's targeting the ones that have the rating indicating the highest level of need, but also concentrating on geographic areas. So the idea being that we can work through an entire neighborhood, put the appropriate application on each of those streets, at some point run our sidewalk replacement program parallel with the asphalt program, and then trim the trees and straighten the signs, and by the time you walk away from it, the entire neighborhood has been rejuvenated, if you will. And so this item is to allow us to use the state bid process and effectively leverage the state's purchasing power for a couple of the elements of that program, which is primarily the Cape Seal, crack seal, and microsurfacing processes.
Has
So
the locations for resurfacing been posted on the internet so people can see?
The map is created, and I'm not sure if it's out there yet, but it's on its way if it's not.
The
So
biggest
it will be
question I
posted.
got besides chicken was, are we gonna do streets this year? Because we didn't do much last year.
Yeah.
So,
So the item before you this evening will authorize us to use the state bid to be able to secure those services. We're also putting together the bid packet for the asphalt, the mill and overlay program. And we'll be back before Commission May 2nd to request authorization then to advertise those items, actually to make the purchase through the state bid process for those services. And we'll be advertising the mill and overlay, and we'll receive bids in May, and then we'll be back for authorization of that contract. So throughout the summer, towards the end of the summer, you'll see that activity. The target areas are Candlewood and that area from South Street south to Manier and from Gordon over to McKinley, with a few outliers, including all the South Main Street, Him Road, Wood Street, and Washington Avenue, I think was the other one. And those are all, again, the streets that have the highest ratings in terms of the level of need. So we'll follow that rating system annually until we get caught up with the worst first, and kind of knock out neighborhood by neighborhood to the extent practical, but hit those outliers that really have immediate needs.
thank you.
Are there other things that we can apply to this purchasing cooperative? For instance, vehicles? I mean, does this include vehicles, or is it just street supplies and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so each year, I mean, the state secures bids for a variety of items and services. We've used it in the past. We used it for the replacement of the roof on this building. The item that you're being asked to approve actually allows us for the next 2 years to participate in any of the services or items that have been made available through the state bid process. So if there's another need that comes along and the state bid is advantageous for us to pursue, we'll be able to use it. By way of this resolution, we'll be able to use it.
Any questions, comments further? Citizen questions or comments? Okay. I'll move that we adopt resolution number R-62-23.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. It's time for public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the City Commission regarding agenda items, issues, or to provide information. Comments are requested to be limited to 5 minutes, and specific questions should be addressed to the city manager's office. Public comment.
I'm Dave House. I live at 1800 Amherst in Piqua. All of you have gotten emails from me over the last several weeks on the chicken issue. I commend you for thinking it over and coming up with what I think is the correct answer. Having raised chickens for 20 years, I can tell you a lot of things that you guys don't know, if you really want to know. But anyway, I think you did a good job on what you did. I also just want to pass on, the city of Urbana has passed that same thing. They have chickens. I have a couple friends in Urbana. I visited those friends there not too long ago, and we couldn't sit outside. The stench from the chicken manure was ungodly. And the people that had the chickens were 4 houses down from where they lived. And I thought, come on, you can't sit outside because of the odor. So, you know, I think, you know, the lady that wanted it, wanted the chickens and all that, yeah, she may do all those things that she said, But that doesn't mean that the other people that are gonna have the chickens are gonna do the same thing to keep the odor down and whatever. So, again, I commend you, for what you did. And, let's see, I guess that's about it, so thank you.
Thank you for your input and your emails.
Yeah.
They were greatly appreciated. And since we don't have the ordinance as of yet, have those friends from Urbana move to Piqua. We increase our
I could
population.
suggest that, but I don't know that
Yeah.
they would. But,
Why not?
You know, I mean, I don't know if it's all over Urbana, but I do know the section that they lived in, it just was horrible. So,
Wow.
but that's the way it is, so. thank you.
We appreciate your comment.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for your
you.
comments.
Anybody else?
Commission, if I may, I would like to invite our friends from Crooked Handle Brewing Company. I asked them to
We
come this
love
evening.
Crooked Handle. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I've been there. What are you talking
Good
about?
stuff.
I love that place.
Good evening.
Best pizza.
Yep, my name's Jeff Pedro. I'm 516 North Wayne Street here in Piqua, so that's official because the Dayton House went on the market and
Good for
sold 2
you.
weeks ago. So
Oh, congratulations. All
no way
right.
to get rid of us now.
Good.
You're here. I love it.
I'd like to say, thank you to the commission, of course, the community and the area businesses for the effusive welcome that we've had just over the last 4 or 5 months. I do have to say, being an Italian boy from Northeast Ohio and some of the things I've heard today, and I've already been saying that there's a lot of wise guys and gals in Piqua. You guys are right in the bottom of my heart already. I know for sure.
Very nice.
I think we're a little preemptive here in something that's coming up pretty big for us here on May 2nd. And a lot of it has to do with that park project. And just to lay things out there, we really are counting on that park project to come through and make that corner a beautiful space. Means a lot to our business, means a lot to us. Certainly means a lot to, I'm going to say the community, because I'm part of it now. And I know that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but it's kind of, the cornerstone is that corner, and it's going to start to develop and continue to thrive. And we want to latch onto that and just make it something great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to say, we didn't get into this 7.5 years ago to be millionaires. We have a genuine passion for what we do. We did it down in Springboro for 7.5 years. We're continuing to do it now. Every little bit that we make, we put right back into the business or to our people. One thing I'm certainly proud of is when we opened up, we had 4 people that walked to work. And within the matter of a couple weeks, were able to create themselves an opportunity to get their own transportation and drive to work. And then from there, adding more full-time jobs, adding more part-time jobs, and then quite frankly, the other things that we're doing with the area businesses, and some ideas we have coming on for Mother's Day and things like that. It's really going to be attractive. So
Great.
Yeah.
long-winded, I'm sure, but I want to make sure that, and I've bumped heads with just about everybody in this room, I think, and many of the people out here as well. So thank you again for your welcome, your support, and certainly we'll be here on the 2nd to help support that as well.
We appreciate
That
you.
is
Thank you very much.
And you got an event in a couple days, don't you?
Bike Piqua.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. We had a big one on Thursday too this past week, but yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. We are so glad to have you here, and I'll tell you, I've been on the commission, this is my 8th year, and we have been talking about Lock 9 ever since I came on the commission, and believe me, we are all ready to have that done, and we are so thankful that you guys have helped to kind of set that vision and set things forward, because that really makes such a difference for the community and for other people to come in as well to do some similar things. So, thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
think it's where the future of Piqua is headed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for thinking.
Thank you.
And thanks for moving here.
You got it.
Yay, we
That
love
says
that.
a lot right there. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
They sell Sprite too.
Anyone else?
I can't get over the smell of it.
We'll move to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Commission and Mayor Pearson. Today's a very important day. It's April 18th, and at midnight, it's going to be the deadline for income tax filing. I don't much care about the IRS, but I do care about our income tax. If you've received a letter, I just want to let the public know, if you've received a letter to get on the amnesty program, I would suggest you contact the Finance Department. And to date, they've collected $55,000 in the amnesty program, which would be otherwise uncollected. Also, too, for the community, you can get on the RITA website or the City Finance Department income tax website. Go hit the link and go directly into RITA. It's very easy to file. Just take your W-2s and plug the numbers in, and it automatically calculates everything for you. So I just urge everybody to please get that done in the next, say, 5 hours.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll start with commissioners' comments. Vice Mayor Lee.
Hey, I am sorry that the chicken ordinance didn't pass. As I said, you know, those people who aren't in restrictive covenants and were able to have that are missing out on the opportunity to raise their chickens and have eggs and whatnot. And it's understandable why there are some people who are against it. I heard a lot for, a lot against, and I respect the voice of the people. I truly do. The issue may not be over. Like I said, they could bring it back, and if they get enough signatures and put it on a ballot. So that's up to them. But I appreciate everybody's input, because that's how the democratic process works. I mean, if people don't say anything, we don't do anything. People don't ask us to put the resolution out there for the chickens. It doesn't get put out there, and we don't know what people think and how they feel. And for or against, either or, you're entitled to your opinion. So I appreciate everybody's input on it. It's getting warmer, even though it was 70 last week and like 30-something this morning, and 50, wound up 53, 54 this afternoon. But it is ultimately getting warmer, so you'll see more people out. Bikes will be out, so please be careful. I have a bike, but I only ride it on the bike path. I'm smart enough not to ride it on the streets, because there's people out there that might want to hit me. So, no, I'm joking. But just watch for people riding bikes, and get out, say hi to your neighbors, welcome everybody around you. It's getting to be that warm weather. Spring's sprung, and summer's coming, so let's just be neighborly. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Commissioner Vetter.
All right, I have a couple things. First of all, a reminder, Amy helped me with the date, but I think the cleanup activity will be May 11, is that right? Okay, so, and I think we have plans for Pittsburgher and Moat Park, and my conversation with you is we're still looking for someone to take on like Fountain Park and a couple other areas. So if there are citizens who want to participate in other locations, contact the office, and I think hopefully it'll be a good day to do that. So that's a big activity. I want to say a special thank you to the code compliance officers for the city. City manager sent us a report this week via email, and I'm doing this from memory, but I'm thinking there were like 1,800 complaints over the length of the program. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Most of those have been resolved, which I think is a compliment. But I'm telling you, from my neighborhood, there have been at least 4 houses torn down in the last month. 2 of them for development purposes, and 2 of them due to fires, and they are probably damaged beyond repair. I see that as a renaissance. Hope I'm not spooking it, but I'm telling you, the Southview neighborhood is very happy to see some of those properties, and there are a couple more on the list. We have some condemned properties that obviously have burned out, and there hasn't been much energy put into rehabbing them. So, but again, this report was very, very helpful, and I think, is this on the city's website?
We're working on improving the format, and we're going to put that out there along with the permitting activity each month.
Yeah, I think sometimes, they catch a lot of grief from people who aren't happy with their activity, but when you see the vast number of the complaints that are resolved, that to me is positive. And I think that's what we need to be doing. I will share with you just a personal comment. My dad was an electrical contractor in this city for years, and clear back as far as the 50s, we were dealing with rental properties that were not being repaired in a what I would call a code compliance way. And so we're undoing many years of neglect, and it appears we're headed in the right path, and I'm very happy about it. I'm in the process of having discussion with Mr. Smeezing and Taylor Boucher about a first-time homebuyers project. And I understand from Chris that we're not ready to kind of release that, but again, in my ward, that's a significant issue. And I think that I'm hoping that we can move ahead with that. I think there are people who will actually take better care of properties as a homeowner than a renter. I'm not opposed to renting. I just think that sometimes with a little incentive, when you have a little skin in the game, you start to take care of things a little better. And obviously, my ward needs that. Saw an interesting report on the news this week, and then I'll finish up. So an interesting report from Cedarville, where the population of Cedarville, Ohio, and Greene County is estimated to be 3,000, and the cats are estimated to be 1,100. And I thought, now wait a second. and they're starting to deal with the problem of feral cats. If you live in my neighborhood or any place close, you're certainly aware that we have our cat problems. And so I know Urbana had a study that they did on that. I'm not sure how they resolved it. Other communities have looked at it, but we have a cat problem. It's no fun working in your flower bed, reaching around to move some mulch and getting some cat dung that's being deposited in your flowers and having your flowers torn up. And I think we need a solution to the problem, and I know it's not easy. I certainly have talked to a lot of people about it, but I found it interesting that little Cedarville has almost 1/3. They estimate they have 1/3 as many cats as they do people in the whole town, and that's Cedarville College as well. So I thought that's interesting stuff. And so we can watch and see what's going on there, and if citizens have some solutions. We at one point in time, we had a spay, neuter, and release program that's no longer operating. Again, that community is struggling, and I'm sure we'll struggle the same way, but it's a public comment kind of an issue. So with that, I will conclude. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Hines?
Thank you. Just a couple things. A reminder, there is a Bike Piqua social happening at Crooked Handle on Thursday night at 5:30, and there is a musician, correct? So there'll be music, and, we are entering into our warmer weather. Wonderful. This is great. And Saturday is actually Earth Day, which is kind of the beginning of summer, spring, and getting out and really enjoying our beautiful community. And I continue to say, we live in a great place. We don't have to go very far to bike, to hike, to get on the river, to do a variety of things. I mean, they are right here in our community, and we really just have to go outside our back door. So get out and enjoy the beautiful weather that we're having, and also just the wonderful amenities we have here in our community. Also, reminder, the Piqua Junior High School, the high school had their musical a few weeks ago. The Piqua Junior High School, their musical is this Thursday and Friday night. It is the Addams Family, and I can say, since I now work at the junior high school, there are some amazing, talented young folks there, and if you want to have a nice evening out, I just encourage you to go to the Piqua City website, the school's website, and you can get your tickets there. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Christie?
Chickens. So my opinion on some of those, I got a lot of feedback from different people. The one, I really respect those. I want to be self-sufficient, and I can definitely understand the perspective there, and I wouldn't downplay anybody for those reasons. Majority of people that did reach out to me were against it. The one question I kind of had with it was, at the last meeting, they talked about if somebody was in violation, it'd be like a civil suit. Just people reaching out to me, I think I've heard from multiple people that already said they had chickens. And so I don't know, what is the correct action for if there was somebody in violation?
If someone's in violation of a city ordinance, we first go through the code compliance office and they try to remedy the situation. That's part of the numbers that Chris provided you today. If they aren't successful after a period of time, we'll file criminal action against them, and typically it's a first-degree misdemeanor and a $1,000 fine, and they'll meet me in court, and I tend to be a little grumpy with them, and they in most cases, every court case, except for a couple have resolved themselves. They will do it over time. I will say, with talking to about code enforcement, the cases that haven't resolved in court have been a couple elderly or very poor people, and if I would suggest commission try and do anything together, it would be my recommendation that they might try and get a program to help some of these people that truly can't afford to fix up their places and things of that nature.
Okay, thanks, and that's what I wanted to clear up, because I know there was some
Yeah, it's a
different
criminal-
discussion there.
Yeah, it's a criminal offense.
Yeah, and I know at one point we had the HELP program, and that kind of fizzled out for citizens. And I know that our former commissioner, Joe Wilson, is doing a lot of good work with citizens as well. So just kind of making sure that they don't fall through the cracks, so.
It's not very many, but there are a few people that just, I mean, an elderly man
Yeah.
that just couldn't afford it, and then another, not an elderly person, but obviously they were struggling and they owned their home, and it was difficult for them. We work with them. We try to get the, we're not going to throw someone or ask the court to put someone like that in
Right.
jail. But
Right, well, and I think about our local churches and different things like that. If those matches could be made, that might be a good way to do it too, so, yeah, thanks.
Well, thanks for clarifying that. The only other thing, like I said, it's getting warmer out, getting active. Next week is actually National Laboratory Professionals Week. As a laboratory professional myself, I just wanted to put that out there. Edison's program is well known in the area. They're doing a 5K April 23rd. You can register online at labweekrun.com, and a lot of the proceeds will go to support young professionals trying to get into that profession. So if you're wanting to get out and get some exercise with the warm weather, it's a good opportunity and support a good cause. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to mention that I attended the 2023 Riverways Summit in Sydney, Ohio, just this past Friday, and it's all about the 10 prominent cities that are located along our great Miami River. And Sydney was the host, and they were great hosts. Those that attended were usually development department people. I know that Aaron and Derek, our code compliance officers, attended. Lorna Swisher, who is Main Street, attended as well. We were well represented. They offered architectural tours through downtown Sydney. They have what they're calling luxury apartment tours, and the Tawawa Park tour, and a scavenger hunt. The day was full of interesting conversations about what these towns are doing with their riverfronts, and we have Lock 9, and I look forward to what is going to happen as a result of our following through on that. Next year, we get to host the Riverway Summit here in Piqua. So lots of planning for that. I'm hoping that our Lock 9 is in full swing and that we will be able to throw a big party and host.
Right there at Cricket Handle, right?
The Piqua downtown, yes. So that's all I had.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, is there a second? We are adjourned, thanks.